About ready to begin the services for Mr. Raymond Ray Sand. We want to welcome everyone here at the chapel, as well as folks that are viewing the service from online. Officiating is Rabbi Stephen Stark Lowenstein.
Before we begin, I invite you to take a deep breath. When we would hear of the death of a loved one, our ancestors, going all the way back to the story of Jacob in the Old Testament, in the Torah, when Jacob heard that his son Joseph had died, the first thing he did was he tore his clothes to serve as a reminder of his heart that's torn. So from that one moment in history, when we hear of the death of someone that we love, direct mourners are obligated to tear their clothes, to serve as a reminder of their hearts that are torn. Direct mourners are children, spouses, siblings, and parents. And so those of you that are wearing a Kriya ribbon, I'm going to just come forward and make a small little tear of the ribbon. I don't tear a piece of the ribbon away, I just make a tear in the ribbon. Just as your heart will always feel a small little tear. And even if you hired the best seamstress in the world, when they repaired the ribbon, there would always be a mark. And so in many ways, your hearts will always have a mark. You will continue to move on with your lives, but there'll be a mark for a very special man. And for that, we're grateful. The blessing we say is simply Baruch, Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Ha'olam, Dayan, Ha'emet. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, Dayan, Ha'emet, the judge of truth, for it's God's judgment that has taken him at this time. And we accept that. For our hearts that are torn, we perform this act of Kriya. Asai el ha'ri me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever. Death has taken our beloved Raymond Ray Sand, Papa, Ray, a good friend, a kind, thoughtful human being, a special friend. Death has taken our beloved Ray. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Raymond's love that united us in life which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path, which now continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and is now a precious, precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator in joy as in sorrow, in light as in darkness, in life and in death. No matter what faith tradition we may be from, there is one psalm out of the 150 psalms. There's one psalm that speaks to all of us. It's used by many different faith traditions, the 23rd Psalm. It says very clearly that we walk together through the valley of the shadow of death. It says that God is our shepherd and we lack nothing. and that we go through this valley every day together. The psalmist chose the words very carefully and chose to say, "Yea, though I walk through the valley." The psalmist very easily could have said, "Yea, though I walk in the valley," or "I remain in the valley," or "It seems like we're always in the valley." But the psalmist said, "We walk through the valley." And so we put one foot in front of the other and we go through the valley. We walk through that valley together with neighbors and friends. We walk through that valley to honor, to pay tribute to Ray. He was very familiar with these words, and so we offer them today in his honor. The words in Hebrew are just so beautiful. Adonai ro'i lo eksar beno desha yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yenachaleni nafshi yashovev, yancheni b'magle tzedek lama'an shemo, gam ki elech b'geit salmavet, lo irara ki ata imadi, ach tov v'chesed yurdafuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'beit Adonai la'orech yamim. I invite you to look on the front of the service supplement at the beautiful picture. And then I invite you to join with me on the inside as we say together the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He got paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. At this hour, the blessed presence of family and friends brings comfort and strength. It says to us, "Be sure that love, the spring of life, abides." May all who mourn take heart as they remember the goodness they've given and received. And when the days of their mourning are ended, may the memory of their loved ones, may Ray's memory truly be a blessing. As it said in the newspaper, Ray Raymond Sand, age 80, beloved husband of Terry, Bonnie of blessed memory, former husband to Joanne, loving father of Davin, and fiancée Lisa, Christine and Bill, Catherine and Eric, proud grandfather of Samantha and Joseph, Caden and Henry, dear brother of the late Robert and Sharon Sand, devoted son of the late Joseph and Fanny Sand, former owner of Mephisto Great Lakes Shoe Company in Deerfield. But that's just the statistics. There's so much more to a person. And so I invite you to look at the front of the service supplement. I love the picture. That's Ray. That's Ray with that great smile. As a rabbi, I often quote theologians. A theologian is someone who's smart and talks about religion. And there are great theologians that we quote all the time. Theologians like Abraham Joshua Heschel, Martin Buber, really smart people. But the theologians that I like to quote the most are the great theologians of Simon and Garfunkel. They wrote the simplest song, their shortest song that they ever wrote. It's a song called Bookends. And today is a bookend to a life of 80 years, a life that began on September 19th, 1943, and ended on May 12th, 2024. 80 years never enough. We always want more. But in their song called Bookends, they wrote so simply, just a few lines. Time it was, and what a time it was. A time of innocence, a time of confidences. Long ago it must be, I have a photograph. Preserve your memories. They're all that's left you. I call Simon and Garfunkel theologians because what they write in that simple song is better than anything that I've ever learned in rabbinic school. Because we're in the business of preserving memories. That's what we do. That's how we exist in this world, by preserving the memories of the people that we love, by holding on to those memories, to know that those memories remain with us. And while people are placed in caskets, while bodies are taken to cemeteries, souls live on. And we preserve those memories by looking at pictures, by telling stories. And in doing so, the people that we love remain with us. I've always loved the beautiful words of Rabbi Alvin Fine. When he said, birth is a beginning and death the destination, but life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness, from ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, to weakness or strength, and strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from fear to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backwards or ahead, we see that victory lies not in some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. But life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death, to life everlasting. Ray's time on this earth numbers 80 years. The psalmist in Judaism says that the span of a life should be 70 years and 10, 70 years, or by reason of strength, 80 years. But we want more. We want ad mea ve'esrim. We want to be to 120 if possible. But we measure lives not in time but in grace, and the joy with which they live and the love that they leave behind. We take into account the quality of life as best we can, and we honor lives that are lived, not by counting years, but by making our years count. I came across a beautiful teaching by Padre Otuma, a teaching that is called The Facts of Life. And I open my eulogy with these words. The facts of life, that you were born and that you will die, and that you will sometimes love enough and sometimes not, that you will lie if only to yourself, that you will get tired, that you will learn most from the situations you did not choose, that there will be some things that move you more than you can ever say, that you will live, that you must be loved, that you will avoid questions most urgently in need of your attention, and that you began as the fusion of an egg and a sperm, of two people who were once strangers and may well still be, that life isn't fair, that life is sometimes good, sometimes better than good, that life is often not so good, that life is real. And if you can survive it, well, survive it well. with love and with art and with meaning given where meaning is scarce, that you will learn to live with regret, you will learn to live with respect, that the structures that constrict you may not be permanently constraining, that you will probably be okay, that you must accept change before you die, but you will die anyways. So you might as well live, and you might as well love. You might as well live, and you might as well love. I open with those beautiful words by Padre Otuma because our lives are truly unique, are truly special. Ray Sand grew up on a farm in Iowa, and he had great farm stories. Devoted son of the late Joseph and Fanny, dear brother of Robert and his wife Sharon. He always knew the importance of hard work. He always knew where he came from. Here was a man who loved the song Forever in Blue Jeans by Neil Diamond. Actually, he loved anything Neil Diamond. He always worked hard in multiple jobs. I love that he once worked for the Wonder Bread Factory, worked as an accountant for car dealers and ad agencies. He was always empathetic. He always had a strong work ethic. He treated people very well. In many ways, he knew what it was like to walk in other people's shoes. Perhaps that's why he did so well in the shoe business, owning and working in a shoe store. Because every once in a while you meet someone who really cares about people's souls. And that can either be S-O-U-L-S or S-O-L-E-S. But he truly cared. That was Ray. Ray was blessed in a first marriage of 14 years to Joanne with 2 wonderful daughters. Working all the time, raising his family. He was hands-on, he was a doer. He was always, from the time you were small, you said, he was always quick-witted. He was always sharp. I think one of you said sassy. He had a great sense of humor. He was entertaining, hardworking, almost too hard. But that was Ray. After getting divorced, he met Bonnie in 1979, and they were married in 1982. They had a most strong and loving relationship. He was always a go-to, go-with-the-flow kind of guy. He taught all of you to be fluid, that everything need not simply be black and white. He formally adopted you. You chose each other, and that was so special. Devin, you had such a special relationship with him, and he had such a special relationship with you. He played ball in the neighborhood. He truly loved being a dad and a husband and a friend. He truly loved being a neighbor. Ray. He truly loved the people in the neighborhood. And then that circle grew and grew and grew. In 1986, I checked the records. You joined Am Shalom. In 1991, you had a bar mitzvah. You chose to have a bar mitzvah with your mom, with Bonnie. You chose to do it together. How special. And around that same time, he chose to convert to Judaism with Rabbi Kudan. That was so important to him. It was so important to Rabbi Kudan. As many people know, Bonnie sang in our choir, so Ray came to everything. He was just part of the choir community. He was just part of what we were doing. And when I came in 2002, shortly thereafter, Bonnie took sick. I saw in my notes a letter for wishing her well on her first surgery, which I think was the first year or second year that I was there. And she fought, she hung on, and Ray was with her every step along the way. And it was really quite remarkable to see. I love that that conversion to Judaism truly took hold, and it meant so much to him. And even after Bonnie died, he would still come to say Kaddish. He would still come for Yortzeit. He would still come to hear the choir sing, just to be there. And in those early years, right after she died, he reconnected. He was a papa. He saw his family, and you helped him through that really hard time. I love that they bought a shoe store together in Bannockburn, that they employed some of the kids and some of the neighborhood kids and gave people their first jobs. Bonnie had a long and courageous battle with cancer. I love that he got you a dog when you were growing up. He was engaging, he was kind, he was even keeled. And I love that with his in-laws, you watched the Cubs and loved the Cubs. He would give me Cubs updates before services and check in on what I thought of the team. And Bears games and Blackhawks games. He was, in the last years of his life, at Brookdale, he met Terry. And Terry, your words were so beautiful. You said that he was kind, he was warm, he was loving, he was happy. What a gift. What a gift till the very end of his life. Ray moved into Brookdale, and then together the two of you moved to the Mather in Wilmette. I think Edith was at Brookdale, and that's why he moved there, his mother-in-law. And 5 years ago, the two of you were married. You gave him happiness and joy in these last final stages. Unfortunately, mild cognitive dementia set in, and these last few years were more difficult than expected. You've been saying goodbye to parts of him for a long time. And so today is very sudden, I know. I just saw a picture of Ray out for dinner last Saturday. And he was smiling and he was happy and enjoying life. And we wish that that would continue. But we also know that in many ways he was trapped in his own body. He wasn't the true person that he was because parts of him had left and were leaving. And so we're sad today. We're sad for what might have been, but we look at the totality of the whole life and we are grateful. Grateful for 80 years. Grateful for the kindness, the warmth, the joy, the dad jokes, the sassy, great farm stories that we now carry with us. Because no one can take those away. Time it was, and what a time it was. A time of innocence, a time of confidences. Long ago it must be, I have a photograph. Preserve your memories. They're all that's left you. Rest in peace, dear Ray. We at Am Shalom will truly miss you. In an anonymous poem called Epitaph, it says the following: I do not want a curious crowd to come with lamentations loud when I am dead, nor do I want my words and ways rehearsed by them with tardy praise when life has fled. I only want the faithful few who stood through good and evil too, true friendship's test. Just those who sought to find the good and then, as only true friends could, forgave the rest. I'd have them come, these very few, and drop perhaps a tear or two, and then, without a sob or moan, go softly out and leave alone my soul to rest. All of you who are here are truly the faithful few who stood through good and evil true. You stood through the good times and the difficult times. You stood together, and you helped each other and will continue to help each other as you think about Ray. And so in the quiet of this sanctuary, I ask you to just close your eyes and to picture him. And if anyone would like to just say a word or a thought that you have when you think of him, if anyone wants to just share a very brief memory of something that you think of when you think of him, or something that you learned from him, I invite anyone to just share a word, to share a thought, to describe this special human being. No one likes to go first, so if anyone wants to go second. Just a word. What word would you choose?
Loving.
Kind?
Loving.
Loving. Beautiful.
Gentle.
Gentle.
A friend.
A friend. Gentle. Kind. Loving.
Genial.
Congenial?
Genial.
Genial. Beautiful.
Funny.
Funny. What else? Later on today,
I'm going to call him the goat.
the goat.
The ghost.
Love it. The goat. G-O-A-T. Greatest of all time. Later on today, or tomorrow, I hope something triggers a memory. Maybe it's as simply as looking up and seeing the stars tonight on a beautiful, clear night. On the back wall of the optional sanctuary, a sanctuary that you really loved, are the beautiful words of Hannah Sench, who simply wrote at age 19 some beautiful poetry that she left in a suitcase in Israel as she parachuted back into Hungary, where she ultimately lost her life. And the suitcase was found, and her poetry was published. And in just one of those poems, it says the following: "There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest nights, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways that we remember." When we rededicated the sanctuary and we put that quote up on the wall, Ray found great comfort in knowing that the stars that light up the darkest nights, these are the lights that guide us. And now he joins that Milky Way of stars for all of us. The only thing that we take to West Lawn Cemetery right now is a body, not a soul. At every funeral I've ever officiated at, I've said these words attributed to Ecclesiastes: "The dust returns to the earth, the spirit returns to God who gave it. It's only the house of the spirit which we place within the earth. The spirit or soul can never die. Receive in love, O God, the soul of our departed. Grant him that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has grasped it, still it is our sure inheritance, our everlasting portion. O God, help us understand that grief and love go hand in hand, that the pain which loss inflicts is the measure of a love stronger than death. Though we cry in the anguish of our hearts, may we be like children who know that their parent is near and who cling unafraid to the trusted hand. In this spirit, O God, do we commit all that is precious to us to your keeping, as we rise together as one congregation, El Male Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina. God full of compassion, dwelling in the heights and the depths, grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to Raymond Ray Sand, who has entered eternity. May he find refuge forever under the shadow of God's wings. May his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. And now we say the mourner's Kaddish, a prayer that does not talk about death, but rather reaffirms our commitment to life. We say Kaddish in his honor and in his memory. The words are on the service supplement. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'almad divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayed kol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavorach le'olam omei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar v'yit halev v'yit halal shmei d'kudsha brichu. La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Ohoseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yimru, yimru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Go your way, for God has called you. Go your way, may God be with you. May your righteousness go before you, and the glory of God receive you. Hamakom yenachem etchem, b'tok shar avilei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort all of you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. May Ray rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.
If you'd like to be seated for just a few announcements about the cemetery procession. The interment will take place at West Lawn Cemetery. For those of you joining our procession, we will make sure that you receive an orange funeral sticker to be placed on the inside portion of your front windshield, as well as a magnetic flag for the top of your vehicle. And please keep in mind two important safety features while in procession. One is to stay as close as you can to the car in front of you to avoid large gaps. And also, please use your bright headlights and your emergency flashers while in procession. The following family members and friends have been selected to serve as pallbearers. When I call your name, if you'll please step forward. Davin Sand, Eric, Henry, and Caden Metternach, Brad Sand, and Ron Sand. And I'll ask everyone to please rise at this time.
Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yahi Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yahi Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yahi Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yahi Yeshua.